That's right. Dougie's just realised what's going on in here. We've got a Western Bulldog scarf over the back. We've got a Western Bulldog scarf on down. We are very, very lucky to have Doug Hawkins in the house, ladies and gentlemen. BackChat powered by Fleet Network. How are you, Dougie?
Will, Dan, how are you, boys?
Good, mate. It's good to grace us with your presence here in Western Australia. It's good to be here. Mousey's got you over here, doesn't he? Shout out to Mouse.
Yeah, lovely man, Will. Dan the Mouse, he's a very, very A-grade smooth operator, the Mouse.
Yeah, that is correct.
Did you say he was off to get some cheese?
Yeah, that is correct.
He actually did say that, Dan.
He's scurrying off.
Cheese.
Now, Doug, we asked the same question to every guest we've ever had on this podcast, and you are one of the most distinguished we've had on here. We want to know your greatest sporting achievement. Now, we know what you've done on the football field. Best and fairest, Victoria captain of your club, games record holder, Western Bulldogs legend. You've got a wing named after you, Dan. He's got a fair bit going on. We know you can play football. We want to know your greatest sporting achievement not on the football field. So I used to play footy. I was an under-9s state hurdling champion. Dan Const.
Which one do I pick? I'll go with cricket one. 5 for 16 in the grand final.
Under-12s.
Under-12s cricket.
Game on the line.
Game on the line.
Fifer.
We lost.
What sort of sporting talents have you had outside the game of footy, Dougie?
Well, boys, probably mine's cricket.
Really?
Yeah, I played in the Sunshine District, which is in the Footscray area type of thing, and played Hatch Shield, which was under 14s for Sunshine. I played with a team called Sunshine YCW.
Yes.
And then I played Dowling Shield, which was under 16s for North Melbourne, not Footscray. I had a mate from Braybrook who was actually the captain. This is only my first year in the under 16s going over to play Dowling Shield.
Good.
So I played Dowling Shield.
This is good
I
areas.
was a fairly quick bowler, fairly quick, but very erratic. I didn't know where it was going. The batsman had no idea where it was going.
Not the wild thing, Sean Tate. Steve.
I just let him go as fast as I could. And anything when I was batting it was loose off the wicket, I'd just smash it. And so I played that. I actually played under 21s for the Victorian Union side, Union.
Right, so you got some talent.
And made the Australian under 21s.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
So for me, boys, I'd probably say cricket outside of my footy. And under 16s at Sunshine, talking about making runs, I made 130 in the semi, we won. Made 104 in the granny, and we got beaten.
Oh, so you're a fast bowler that's smacking hundreds.
And come in second or third drop, and just anything not on the wicket was going to go over the head, going to go anywhere.
We bloody love that, Doug. That is good areas.
That was it, Will. Dan, I love my cricket. As a matter of fact, Royce Hart was the coach of the Bulldogs, and I was still playing cricket in my local cricket club, and we're in a grand final. And he said, mate, if you're going to play cricket or footy, what do you want to do? Well, it wasn't too hard to make that decision because I was playing at 17, and this is back in 1980, 81. I was 21. Royce said, mate, make a decision. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
So I had to stop playing cricket.
Yeah. Would you have made the same decision with the money that's on the table in cricket these days?
Probably not. But then again, you got to be the elite to play in the elite. So would I have been good enough to do that? You never know, do you? I mean, people say, oh, well, but you don't know. If you get in that same environment of footy and training and put in the hours and the effort and the work and the improvement, you just don't know, do you?
Well, you're one of the best to ever play the game of AFL. You're in the AFL Hall of Fame, the Western Bulldogs Hall of Fame, Footscray captain, games record holder at the Western Bulldogs, played a bit at Fitzroy as well. I'm going to get into that as well. So you were able to do it in AFL. I wouldn't put it past you in the cricket either. Let's wind it all the way back, Dougie. I want to know about a few things. We're going to talk about your upbringing and the way you went through Baybrook. You mentioned that before. But your first car and your first job. We're sponsored here by Fleet Network. BackChat's powered by Fleet Network. They do all things cars. What was your first car? Can you remember that?
My first car was a yellow Gemini.
Wow.
From Kevin Dennis Motors Holdings.
Shout out Kevin Dennis Motors.
The club gave me $5,000 when I was 17. And I don't know why. Why would I do that? A yellow Gemini with brown seats.
Yeah.
My nickname was the Hawk. They started calling me the Yellow Canary very quickly down there in Braybrook. So my first car was that. It lasted 6 months. I blew the motor up and I bought myself a Sandman panel van.
What's a Sandman panel van?
The one that's got the window on the back, right?
On the back, if this van's rocking, don't bother knocking, baby. Your daughter might be in the back. So I had the Sandman panel van. And all the boys used to rock in there, all the Braybrook boys. I'm not playing lead footy, just turned 18, and all my mates from Braybrook would be in the back of that. We used to go to the Greyhounds on a Monday night in the city, and there'd have about 15 blokes in the back of it.
That's unreal. What was your first job?
The first job was working in a sausage factory when I was 15.
Why was that funny?
It's just like the sausage factory has a different meaning these days.
Yeah, and it was funny. It really was. I mean, I left school. I think it was Form 3, Form 4, and I remember this van pulling up in Braybrook there, and the back door opens up, and I get in. There's about 6, 7 blokes in there, all drinking long necks with paper bags on it. And, hey, mate, you want one, son? I said, no, not really. It's up past 5 in the morning, I was. I said, no, not really, mate. I'm just come out of school at 8:15. I lasted a week. I said to the boss, I'm going back to school. I said, I'm not doing this. I can't do this.
Oh, that's
So
funny.
I was working in a sausage factory out of Laverton. It was pretty tough and pretty hard and pretty rough, and but just making sausages wasn't for Dougie.
That sort of sums up a little bit of your upbringing, right? What was that like? Can you take us back to?
Yeah,
Braybrook?
it was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Commission flats, me, my mum, and my sister, and Braybrook was the sort of place that what's not yours can become yours pretty quickly. Just knock it off and run, and off you go. And so living in those commission flats as a young kid, it was pretty tough and pretty hard.
Yeah.
You may have heard this story when I got a brand new skateboard.
No.
Haven't heard this?
No.
I skated down the milk bar. I parked it at the front of the milk bar. Went in to get a can of Coke, and this little kid was standing. I'll never forget it. 1 cent, 2 cents of those, 1 cent of those, and lollies. And so about 3 minutes had elapsed. So I got my can of Coke. I got outside, and there was my skateboard sitting on bricks. Someone had pinched the wheels off my skateboard. So this is how hard it was. As I said, what's not yours can become someone else's. So they picked the wheels off my skateboard. So I picked the board up and went home to Mum, and Mum was going to kick me backside. She was going to give me hell. And when I walked in, Mum was taking the wallpaper off the wall.
Yes.
I said, Mum, we're doing some renovations. She said, no, Dougie, we're moving.
Right.
So when you move from Braybrook, the wallpaper come with you.
Loves
That's
it.
how hard it was, Will, Dan. When you left, the wallpaper come with you. That's how bad Braybrook was.
Did you ever get the wheels back?
No, I never got them back. But I'll tell you what, there was a knock at the door. Mum paid the rent 3 weeks in a row on time. The knock at the door, the coppers asking where we got the money from. So I'm only taking it.
Correct.
But it was a very tough upbringing. I think it's a huge part of who I am today because it taught you to stand up for yourself. I got a lot of people saying you can't do it and you can't do this and all that sort of stuff. Teddy Whitten come from Braybrook, the great EJ. So if EJ can go on and do what he did, well, why can't Dougie Hawkins go and do it? My junior footy club was just sensational. It was just sensational. I was spoiled.
What was it, Braybrook?
Braybrook Footy Club. Yeah, I played there for 8 years. We played in 7 grand finals and won 6 flags.
Wow.
And that comp was good. That comp was really good, right from the under-12s into the under-17s. So I'm a 2-time three-peat.
Wow.
First year, third, won 3, got skittled in the under-15s first year, and then won 3 more again. And that was a club who, I can kick both feet. I was a natural right footer.
Yes.
My left foot wasn't much chop. But the Braybrook Footy Club, the coaching down there was just fantastic. Both feet, you got to kick both feet.
Right.
And by the time I was 15, 16, my left foot was better than right.
Well, because once you entered the AFL, that was your reputation. Your left and right were the same, basically. So you put that down to your junior footy there.
100%, Will, Dan, 100%. And it was the Braybrook Footy Club. They had us at training nights where if you miss your target, it doesn't matter. You're going to handball left hand, if you're a right-hander, if you're opposite up, whatever it is. And we just kicked left and right foot for night on end. And
Wow.
and in the game under 15s, I remember standing there going bang on my left foot thinking, and then on the mark going, where's this bloke going to go next?
Yeah, right.
You just make it up as you go along.
You would hate my career then, Doug. I kicked on my left once in my whole career.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was fast enough to get onto my right, though. But you probably were too. I've seen some of your footage, some of the best highlights ever watched. Let's go to that. Your debut. You debuted against North Melbourne.
Yeah.
the team you supported as a kid. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yep.
You're a North Melbourne supporter?
Yeah, correct.
So did that feel good, bad? How did you feel?
It was pretty scary. It was pretty scary stuff. I mean, I'd watched them in the grand final the year before in '77 when they drew with Collingwood, and then they beat him in the replay.
Yes.
And my hero was Keith Gregg, who'd won 2 Brownlows at 73, 74. I was a huge fan of Malcolm Blight. I love Barry Cable. He was a fantastic player, terrific player, the Kangaroos. Sam Kekovich. Ross Glendenning played the same day I played my first game, was his first game for North Melbourne.
Really?
Wow.
Brownlow medalist
Big
Roscoe
Roscoe,
Denny.
Big Roscoe, number 4.
Wow.
So I debuted and he debuted for, he might have been a little bit older than me.
How old are you?
I'm 63 now, but I was 17 then. So he might have been 19, 20, I
Wow.
reckon, when he first started at North. So he debuted on the same day.
So you're debuting against reigning premiers.
Reigning premiers, and I lined up on Keith Gregg at middle of the second quarter. Go to Keith Gregg, and I thought, what am I doing here?
Are you shitting yourself?
I shook his hand. I shook his hand. I called him Keith. G'day, Keith. He said, what do you call me? But he would have read in the paper that I love Keith Gregg. He's my hero.
Yes.
He said, son, you call me Mr. Gregg.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I said, hello, Mr. Gregg. And then the next week we played St Kilda, and I put me in there to shake hands with the St Kilda opponent. I said, g'day, Mr. Muir. Robbie Muir. He said, what do you call me? I said, I'm Mad Dog down here. So I've gone from Keith Gregg to Robbie Muir, who, by the way, is a very good player, Robbie Muir.
Yeah.
Great, got white line fever stuff, but he could certainly play. So my first game was against North. We got smashed. Blighty kicked 9 or 10. I had 7 or 8 kicks. Struggled, kicked a goal.
Yeah.
But to go from Braybrook under 17s was my last game, to go and play in front of 20,000 people at the Western Oval, just now the Whitten Oval.
Yes.
It's pretty scary stuff for a
Yeah.
kid. You know, I was only 10 stone wet.
Yeah.
And here I am, I'm gone for my last game at Skinner Reserve in Sunshine in a Braybrook under 17 grand final, lined up against the reigning premiers.
Mm.
You know, and see David Dench and all these sort of blokes running out in the ground. I'm thinking, what am I actually doing here? Why am I here?
So those first 5 years at the club, 85, you blokes played in a prelim. You lost to Hawthorn by 7 points, but those 5 years were pretty tough. 80 to 82, you won 6 games in 50 games, 6 games out of 50. Yeah. So that upbringing, you speak about your junior footy, you're going through Braybrook juniors, left and right, come into a side that's not going well. You get to a prelim 85. That must be, you must have had a core group of players there that. What's your reflections of that time?
I was actually going.
Right.
I was leaving the Bulldogs in 82.
Right.
I met Kevin Sheedy about 4 times. And we chatted about, it was going to be me or Brian Wood. I was only 22. Woody was 28, and I made a Sheedy's at Richmond. And a bit more money than Footscray could give me, but it was one word for the boy from Braybrook. It was called loyalty.
Really?
Yeah, I love my club. I love my jumper. I love my brothers. We weren't having the success that we wanted, that I wanted. I went there for my good mate Robbie Gronewagen was my best man. My wedding, I was best man in his, and we just wasn't going anywhere. And Dougie Hawkins was going. I was going to Western. Imagine playing with Tim Watson and Simon Madden and Terry Danaher and Paul Vanderhaar and Mark Harvey, Mark Thompson, Glenn Hawker, the late Merv Nagel, Leon Baker. Johnny, what's the big Duckworth?
It was a good team.
Oh, imagine me sitting on the wing at Essendon.
But you sat on
I'd
the
kick 3 a game. I would kick 60, 70 goals from the wing. Playing on a side like that.
You sat on the wing at Bulldogs and made a good career of yourself. Was Mick Mould out? When was he coaching? Was that during that time?
Mick started in 84.
Yeah.
Bluey Hampshire was a coach, and Mick replaced him.
Was that his first senior coaching?
Yeah,
job?
And he was only 32. He just finished playing at Richmond. Mick Moldhouse arrived in 84, and he changed the culture of the Footscray Footy Club.
From what to what?
He took them from guys who just want to have a bit of fun and have a drink and have a go. We had a go, but not good enough. We're there to win. We're not there to be losers and just be nice blokes and all that sort of stuff. So he changed the whole culture of the footy club. He brought a lot of Western Australian players over that time in 84, 85. Andrew Purser was already there from East Fremantle. Jimmy Sewell was already there, East Fremantle. Bloke called Ian Williams from Swan District's come across as well. Got Budgie from Essendon, Tony Bahajar, Simon Beasley, one of the greatest full forwards. Well, out like Templeton, Calvin Templeton, and him for me. Beasley was a fantastic player. Swan Districts, I reckon it was. Bloke called Alan Daniels was playing from Claremont, and of course the great Brad Hardy. Brad Hardy wins a Brownlow in his first year.
In Mick's first year. And Brad's first year.
Mick's second year, Brad's first year. Brad Hardy, stumpy legs, long sleeves, doesn't look like a football player, but tell you what, he could play footy. He could play footy. He took Charlie home in his first year.
Wow.
So Mick was fantastic. It was just, we clashed a few times, but at the end of the day, he's my boss. We shook hands, we got on with the job, and here we are playing. You know, we only missed out one game in '84, play in his first year to play finals. And next year, we were right in the mix. It was Hawthorn, Essendon, Bulldogs. We could beat Essendon, no problem. We beat them during the year, but we had trouble getting over Hawthorn.
Did you? I've heard that you guys used to celebrate pretty hard after just regular season wins.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
did he change much of that?
And what sort of celebrating we're talking about?
We did. We went pretty hard. Like if we won a big game on a Saturday, I'd be Sunday, Monday, just we start pulling up Tuesday. We went pretty hard. We went pretty hard, and I mean, '85 the semi-final after we beat North Melbourne to go into a prelim final.
Yeah.
I think that night we had a couple of quiet ones. I'm not sure who knew about that, but I got away, and I thought we're in a prelim final, you know.
But
we're one game away from playing a granny in front of 100,000 people. Was what my dream was. MCG.
that was the norm back then, though. Would it be frowned
Yeah,
upon?
it was. We went to a Chinese restaurant. On the way up, we grabbed half a dozen crayfish out of the tank. The bloke said, "My crayfish gone," and this Steve McPherson's bag was jumping.
So is it normal across the league or just in
general, Dan? It really that was sort of the culture a bit. Was have a beer with your mates and celebrate a victory, and that was sort of even right from my first game. There was a couple of slabs put on the table after the game against North Melbourne. Pies come out, pasties and that was just, you'd have 2 or 3 beers before you go in the shower. That's just how it was.
So you never played in grand final. You played over 300 games for Western Bulldogs, some games for Fitzroy as well. Is that a regret? Is it the circumstance? How do you reflect on that? One of the great wingmen to ever play the game.
Yeah. So if I showed disloyalty and went to Essendon, I would have played in the '83 losing grand final. There's one. Would have played in the back-to-back '84-'85 when Essendon beat Hawthorn. There's 2 winning. There's 3 grand finals. 1990, I would have played on the late Darren Mullane in that grand final. Not Greg Anderson. Dougie Hawkins would have played on him. There's another granny which they lost, but in '93 I was still going around and they beat Carlton. So I actually could have been a 3-time premiership player. And that's what it's all about, Will. You know that, Dan, you know that. And I made a decision to stay with the club with loyalty and love my club and my mates. I could have been a 3-time Essendon premiership player. Simple.
It does sound like it sits well with you being loyal to your mates, though. I mean, that feels like it's a strong value coming through.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was. But at the end, I didn't get showed much loyalty when my time was coming towards the end of my career with the Bulldogs. So I wasn't shown much loyalty after serving the club for 17 years, you know, which by that stage was half my life. That was my second home. It was sometimes my first home. That footy club, it gave me a belonging. It was fantastic. And I didn't get shown the respect, I think, in my last year in 1994. I just broke Ted Whitten's record. 7 weeks later, I get sacked.
So I don't know what happened there. I know you finished at Fitzroy. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, I broke Teddy's record, which was something special. I mean, we spoke about what footy's about. It's about grand finals, but that was Dougie Hawkins' grand final. To break the Mr. Football's record was just something special. And had my kids there, and Teddy was there out in the ground.
He was out there with a suit, handballing the ball back to you.
Yeah. The ground was chock-a-block. We're playing the Cats, we couldn't beat them. Malcolm Blight was a coach. He'd never played at North Melbourne in a losing side against Footscray or coached against a losing Footscray side, but he did that day.
You blokes won.
Yeah, we got him. Yeah, I started on the bench. You reckon I was happy? You can see I've moved on. I'm not bitter about it. But Alan Joyce was the coach. Geez, I was pissed off.
Really?
I was filthy.
Yeah.
And then the week before I equalled Ted's record against Richmond, I played 1 quarter. I went home, I said to my wife, Raylene, I'm going to retire, equal with Ted Whitten on the same stage. She said, no. I said, yeah, I played 1 quarter, 2 kicks, 1 handball. And then I got a telegram back in those days from Teddy.
Really?
Changed my whole mindset. He said, son, you're a Braybrook boy. I'm proud of you. My family's proud of you. You get out there and you stick it up them. You get out there, and if you're starting the bench, you stick it up when you come on. So that just changed my whole mindset. I said, you know what? I'm going to go out and do this. I had a good game. I had 24, 20. Matter of fact, Ross Glendinning did comments on that game on Channel 7. He gave me 3 votes. I think Roscoe looked after Dougie a little bit.
We're going to have Roscoe on here.
Yeah,
That'd be
of
good
course.
to chat about.
Yeah, Roscoe gave me 3 votes that day when I broke Ted's record.
So was that late in the year then?
Yeah, that was about round 18, round 17. And then my last game was in the big punch-up against West Coast.
Yes.
Danny Southern and Peter Sumbich was involved in that one.
We've had Danny on the podcast about that. So you're in that game, were you?
I was in that game. That was my last game ever for the Bulldogs.
Really?
That was the last round of 94. I got in a bit of a scuffle with Chris Lewis, who's a good bloke. I love Louis. He's a good fella, Louis. Me, Steve McPherson into that, and then Tony Evans grabbed me from behind. He dragged me down and tore me groin. So I didn't play in the final series either. Like there was two finals games.
Yes.
Billy Brown has kicked a goal after the siren in to beat the Bulldogs in the qualifying, and then Melbourne just smashed us. Gary Lyon kicked 10 and David Swartz kicked 6 or something. And I didn't play. And I didn't want to go out on that note. I don't want to go out as a Bulldog player in a game at Subiaco where I tore my groin and didn't get a chance to finish the way I wanted to finish. And I went into a meeting with Alan Joyce, two or three other people in there. Peter Gordon, the president, wasn't there. I went in there to sign my contract. I didn't see it coming. You know when you don't see something coming that goes bang? Yeah. It knocks your ass over it. So he just said, mate, your time's up. I reckon you're finished. I said, I'm a bit surprised. I said, I've come in here thinking I've got 12 months. He said, well, I just think your time's up. I said, well, I think I'll make that decision when my time's up. I've been here 17 years. You've been here a minute. So we had a little bit of banter. I went away and I actually rang up Port Adelaide, Magpies, in the Sample.
In the Sample?
Yeah, Brian Cunningham was the CEO. And a bloke there I met over the couple of years before, it was Timmy Geneva was the captain. He played 300-game play there, premiership play about 6-7 times. So I'm going to go there because I want to play in a grand final. And I was going to fly in. And then I ran into a bloke called Johnny Burt, who was a general manager of Fitzroy. And he said, mate, would you come to Fitzroy? This is at a Collingwood function. I said, well, I go to Fitzroy. I said, mate, no way. I'm a Bulldog. I'm not going to Fitzroy. He said, we got Bernie Quinlan announced on Monday as coach. Tick. Tick.
Because he was one of the greats of all time.
Yeah.
Bernie Quinlan.
Ex-Bulldog.
Yep.
Great mate of mine. He'll bring you on Monday. He said, we're going to get Peter Dacos out of retirement. And then the eyes lit up. I said, imagine playing with Dakes. He hadn't played in 94, so they're going to get him out of retirement to play in 95. But I heard later on that Collingwood paid him to stay, to not play.
Right.
To be a one-jumper player. Simon Atkins, come from Footscray to Fitzroy, another tick. And then the big one was 12 games at the Whitten Oval, home track. No, back to front. I'd close my eyes and play on it.
Why was there 12 games at Whitten Oval?
That was our home ground, Fitzroy's home ground.
Right.
Don't know why, but that's where they played.
Right.
We trained out of Coburg in the VFA ground, which was muddy all the time there. So there was a few ticks, and in here, I was gutted. I was filthy on the Bulldogs. I was gutted. And again, where I come from, Braybrook, when someone says you can't do it, guess what? It's a load of crap. It's in your heart and you want to go and do it. Guess what? You go and do it.
Do you think then, towards the back end of your Bulldogs career, that they were, like in hindsight, sort of pushing you out? If they were starting you on the bench and not playing you much?
Yeah. I wasn't thinking that way. I knew that we had some good kids coming through and all that, but I still thought I was enough value to the club. Like if I played 14 games, it'd be better than some kids You know, I didn't see it coming, and that hurt me the most. And again, I always wanted to be a one-jumper player, but I love playing footy. I've been playing since I was 8 with Braybrook. I mean, and again, when someone says you can't do it, it doesn't mean you can't when you come from Braybrook. So it was a great challenge. I'm 35. I'm on my last legs. I'm playing with kids.
Yeah.
Brad Boyd's the captain. He's 21. Playing with Mark Sonotti and, you know, Sonots and Jeff Hogg and James Manson. Steve Stretch was playing. It's just there's a lot of younger kids outside of that. Some older blokes are just named. It was a tough gig.
So this is 95, right? You moved to Fitzroy, so you pull the trigger on it, and they fold 2 years later. Is that right?
Yeah. 96 they folded. Yeah.
So
end of 96.
What's that environment like? Going from Bulldogs, one club player, effectively. You know the reasons you've gone. You're at a footy club, and they're done.
Yeah. The people at Fitzroy are very similar to Footscray. They knock about people, give you the last dollar sort of people. And I loved that. You know, I loved that. And then there was 3 games to go and Bernie Quinlan got sacked. The president was called Dyson Hall Lacey. He called me into his office in the city. He was at QC and all that stuff. And he said, we're going to sack Bernie today. I said, what for? He said, we're not winning games. I said, mate, we're no good. I said, we're no good. I said, mate, trust me. We'll run the good sides for a half and a bit. We'll drop off because we're on a young side. So the middle sides will hang around for 3 and a bit. We might pinch a couple. Yeah. And the bottom sides we're a big chance. But don't sack him. He's one of your favourite sons. Brownlow medalist there, goal kicker that many times. You're going to break his heart. Don't do it. And they sacked him. And I've already spoken to Bernie about playing in 96. So Bernie got the flick, and then a bloke called Mick Noonan turned up from South Australia, from Norwood, I think it was. And I had a meeting with him, and it didn't go down good. He said to me, Dougie, you don't fit in my 3-year plan. I said, pretty good, Mick, because if I did, I'd be 39 at the end of it. I'm not sure if I fit into that. And I was being a bit of a smart ass, and he looked at me. I didn't think he was too impressed. He said, you had a pretty good year. You know, you played 21 out of 22. You got 6 Brownlow medal votes, finished 8th in the best and fairest. Been pretty good, but I reckon, you know, we could probably play off the bench and maybe in the back pocket. So straight away, the warning bells come straight up, and I said, listen, I think I'll give it away. He said, good decision. Yeah.
Is it true that you stitched up Tony Shaw during a coin toss one game? He tried to distract him.
He used to do it all the time.
With the
He'd
horses.
toss a coin and you'd point. You didn't even see the coin land. Shorey. He's the one that did my knee, Shorey. I had a total knee reconstruction in 86.
Yes.
So after 85,
yeah,
you know, a taste of finals footy, 86, we're going to go again.
Right.
In round 17, Shorey runs a force across my leg, and I've had a total knee reconstruction. I'm out of footy for 12 months. I've just won the best and fairest. Brad Hardy won the Brownlow. Andrew Purser beat me by 1 vote in 84 in the best and fairest. So I'm flying. I'm playing my best footy. Right in the middle of me, you know, the right time, you know, probably 24 to 28, 29, that's your best footy.
Yeah.
And I get skittled. I'm out of footy for 12 months. And I'm sitting around with a busted leg, lost my job, fiancé left me. Just life was just crap. And I had depression. I didn't know what it was. You know, I was drinking a lot and I was getting in fights and I was just off my head. And that was what was happening. I was just depressed and I didn't know what it was. And drinking for me was my out. So that was a tough year. That was a real tough year, 86. And we talk about Shorey. Yeah, fell on my leg. You know, and we're going to play finals footy. This is round 17.
What helped you out of that? Well, what helped
I
you
met
through
Raylene. I
depression?
met my wife, yeah. I met my wife now of 35 years and 3 kids and 4 grandchildren. And if I didn't meet Raylene, I don't know where I'd be.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know where I was just getting back to play footy again in 87. I just started to get back. My league was getting ready to go. I was never the same player. I had to change my whole game. I had to play off half-back. Played a bit of wing still, but had to play half-back, a bit of forward-line stuff. But, yeah, meeting Raylene, she changed my, yeah. I could not, I may not be here, who knows.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. It was amazing. And we moved out of Braybrook, where I lived all my life, to Bacchus Marsh, and and I'm still playing, the AFL footy, driving down from Bacchus to, there's a fair bit of driving and that sort of stuff. And I was actually working at the Western General Hospital. I was a part-time brain surgeon. I was trying to operate on my own brain. I actually worked there just in the supply department, so that was a good little gig for me, and go straight to trainer from then and head home. And but Raylene come along, just really, really good, really strong, and country girl from Dalesford, and just nailed me.
Given sort of the Western Bulldogs story for you and where you grew up and playing so much footy for them and being so close to EJ and all of that, the 2016 grand final, the premiership for the Bulldogs, where were you for that? What were your feelings watching that?
That was a miracle, what they did.
Yeah.
Being footy players, you can't do that. That shouldn't happen.
Nah.
They come over here, beat West Coast, just pull their pants down.
I played in that game.
You played that game, didn't you?
I did, yep. Because what happened was they played against Fremantle in the last round. It was Pav's last game. They got smashed. And then there was a finals bye. And probably like you before the prelim or whatever, we're sitting around bye week, Bulldogs, we'll wipe them. Who we got in the grand final kind of thing. We just played in the grand final in 2015. We came 5th in 2016, and we're playing this Bulldogs side that were just nothing, right? It's like, see you later, boys. Yeah, no worries. Come over here and we'll piss you off second week running. They came over and they were just rolled us.
He played about 4 or 5 first gamers, not first gamers, but back from injuries.
Yeah, they brought 6 in.
Liberatore was one of those. And and then to win that, and then to go and beat Hawthorn, when they're 28 points down midway through the second quarter.
That's right.
He was going for 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. You can't do it.
Then GWS in GWS. They beat in the prelim.
And come back and reload for the Swans.
That's one of the great prelims you'll ever see.
That was their grand final.
Yeah.
So to me, they can't win. They can't beat Sydney.
Did you go to the game? Did you go to this?
Yeah, I did. I actually did. Yeah, I actually was nearly late. I had a function in Tasmania, in Launceston. I kept to my word. No, not the mouse. It might have been one of Mouse's productions, promotions. So I actually kept me. Because I didn't think the Bulldogs would be there. I took this gig 3 or 4 months before.
Yeah, of course.
So I was committed. I had a good crowd there, and obviously with the Dogs playing and Dougie's coming into town and for our brekkie, and so I did that. And I got to the airport, and the plane was running late.
Oh man!
So anyway, I got in about 1 o'clock into Melbourne to the airport. I'm driving along, and there's no traffic. And I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here? Everyone's there. So I drove straight into Rod Laver Arena, parked my car. The lady there on the gate had me a spot. Parked my car, walked up. Raylene was waiting for me. Away we went.
What was that feeling like?
Watched the game.
What was that feeling like?
It was, geez, I was wrapped for them. I was wrapped for the players. I was wrapped for the club. I was wrapped for the supporters. There was a bit of me jealous, a bit jealous. Some blokes have played 30 games, 40 games.
Less.
I played 329 and couldn't get into one. And here they are, premiership second in the club's history. Mm. And these boys have run around the MCG for 100,000 with their medallions on their neck. I was wrapped, but there was a shade of me saying, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't love to be part of that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't love to be part of that.
What do you think of the Bond? Marcus Bontempelli.
The Bond?
Mm.
Terrific young bloke. Outside of his footy, polite, respectable, gentleman. The bloke you want your daughter to hang out with.
Mm.
He's a gun, and he's a great player. I think he'll poll very well in the Brownlow this year. The problem, the big one for me is Liberatore. He's the gun. He's our gun. When Libber's in that midfield, guess what? There's about 4 or 5 stand just that little bit taller. And I saw it in Hawthorn, in Launceston 2 weeks ago. He went off with concussion. He wasn't playing that great, but we were 6 goals to 2. And I watched it when he's on the ground. Mate, Blake's just, he is the man. I know I love the Bont. Tim English has had an outstanding season. Liberatore's a man for me.
He's my favourite player in the AFL, Tom Liberatore. Love him.
Is he?
Yeah.
Cool.
You play with his old man.
I played with Tony, yeah.
So are they the same?
They're very similar.
Yeah.
Thomas a better kick, but their willpower and their if you're in the trenches in the army and it was your turn to go to sleep and they were mining you, you'd wake up. They wouldn't let you down in those trenches. They're just magnificent.
Yeah.
The old man and the young bloke. Thomas Liberatore, he is it. He's the man. And I reckon, again, Eagles, I mean, he plays, I reckon we get him. But that's just my feeling.
You had some great rivalries over the year, Dougie. You've mentioned quite a few names, but Dipper was someone you played on quite a lot in the wing.
Yeah.
He was bigger than you, though.
He's a monster. He's a monster. And Brownlow medalist, knocking people out. Can you believe that? He won a Brownlow, knocking people out.
You guys used to wrestle a lot.
Did he ever knock you out?
No, he tried a couple of times, but I gave him a warning.
What was it?
I said, if you don't knock me out, I'm going to king at you. And he went like that. He went, I said, smile, Robert. I call him Robert. I used to hate him. I'm the Big Dipper. Don't call me Robert, Dougie.
You used to talk a bit on the ground there.
Yeah, we used to spray. You couldn't understand what we were saying. We wouldn't have known what we were saying to each other. Like me and Dipper. You can imagine the spray. We're talking shit. We're just talking crap. And we were born the same day, May the 5th. Can you believe that? We were born the same day. We speak 6 different languages.
Oh, yeah?
Not one's English, but anyway, we're great mates. But geez, we had some great battles. The thing about Dipper was he was unpredictable. Like when you're playing blokes like Keith Gregg, Robbie Flower, Wayne Schimmelbusch, Mickey Turner, Ricky Barham, Brian Wood, Jeff Cunningham, the late Merv Nagel, a younger when Darren Mullane arrived from at Collingwood in '84. I knew what they were doing. I knew I was going to get. But with Dipper, he didn't know. Mm. He was very unpredictable. And I'll tell you what, he was very quick. That 10-metre coverage, that 10 metre to get where the contest was, he was quick and a monster. And he was a very good player. And we had some ripper battles, particularly that 85 final series, that qualifying and the prelim. Mm. And then in 86, he goes and wins a Brownlow with Greg Williams, who used to knock blokes out as well. That's how it was back in the 80s.
Well, it was. We spoke a little bit about what it was like back in the 80s. Any good footy trips back in the day?
Yeah, a couple of good ones. You know the story as well. Dan, you know that, what happens on a footy trip. Sometimes don't always stay on a footy trip.
Tell us. I heard you went to Disneyland one year.
We had the famous one was Robbie Groenewegen, my best man. We were on a flight. This is after the 85 final series, and we're travelling in between Fiji and Hawaii. We've had some real air turbulence. It was real bouncy, you know, and the sign come up, put your seatbelts on, and then next minute you hear this on the microphone. It goes from first class to cattle class, right to the back to the front. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking, Captain Robert Groenewegen here. He said, as you can experience the last 10 minutes, this air turbulence, it's going to get worse. Put your belt on. We're about to go down in the ocean. This went right across the whole plane. You had stewards running everywhere. I looked over, looked at Mick Moldhouse, had his hand in his head.
Mick's on the footy trip.
Little budgie barge, Spudgy sitting up his head on. Shorty Daniels was Alan Daniels and Brad Hardy, all the Perth boys, Jimmy Searle, Andrew Purser. Imagine you get shot by a field marshal now. There'll be someone on the plane.
So he's jumped on the microphone, told everyone you're going to crash.
Jeez.
We're going to crash. We are going down the ocean. So when we got into Hawaii,
women and children would have been crying.
The police never come on the plane. The army with machine guns. You guys from down under, you don't go nowhere. You stay here.
Oh, wow.
So we were kicked off the Qantas plane. Weren't allowed to fly to Los Angeles. Had to go if United.
So you're stuck in Hawaii.
So Qantas, we're stuck in Hawaii. So about 12 of us said, "We know what? Let's stay in Hawaii for a couple of days. Why wouldn't you stay here? We're not coming back this way." So there's about 10 of us or 12 of us stayed in Hawaii. It was a fantastic footy trip. And I've been to Manila, I've been to Bangkok.
Couple of good ones.
A couple of nice places.
Were you still playing when they named the wing after you?
Yeah, I was. Well, yeah, Dan, yeah, I was.
What's that like? You got a wing named after you running around?
Pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, it was
the Doug Hawkins wing.
Yeah, on my wing out the Michael McLean, Magic McLean played on the other wing.
Yeah,
it was a lot drier on that side, and he was just quick, sharp. Called him Magic. That's his nickname. You remember Magic McLean? Michael played Brisbane.
Yeah.
He beat Nathan Buckley in the best and fairest by 1 vote the year before Buckley was going to jump out. So he played on that wing. We had a guy called Stevie Wallace, played in the guts. And that wing, my outer wing, was always a little bit damp for some reason. Maybe it was just a bit of a slope on it. And Mick was up in that box. You could hear everything he said to you. you could hear the whole lot, and you can hear the supporters in the opposition giving me a spray and calling me different. Who cared? I couldn't give a shit. Made me go harder.
What they used to call you?
Oh, just
you had long.
They call me softy and all that.
You had a big long mullet back in the day.
I had the mullet, yeah. They called Libber some shocking names.
I saw some.
He loved it. Libber loved it.
I saw some. He was a brutal player, Libber. I saw some highlights of yours. Some great goals, pickups, left and right. You could do it all.
Juggling marks,
hangers, like literally everything. But one thing that did stand out, you probably wouldn't be cast as the ambassador for respect for umpires round anytime soon. You used to give him a fair bit, didn't you? You used to tell him what you think or what? Seriously.
Yeah, we know games of emotion and passion and spirit, and you do things that you sometimes think back and look over it and go, geez, I don't know why I did that. It's a bit of regret. But in the heat of the battle, and I'm a passionate bloke and I play with spirit, and I'd give some umpires some shocking cooks, throw me mouth guard. Imagine that now.
100-metre penalties.
I wouldn't play. I wouldn't get a goal.
You were going off. The stuff I've said, you were going off your...
Off my head.
A lot of hands, like throwing your hands around.
Completely lost everything. Mentally. A runner would come out and say, Dougie, just come across here for 1 minute and just focus back. We're playing a game of footy.
Back to reality.
Can you come back to can you just give me something? I was ratty, and it wasn't a good thing but back then, I suppose. I mean, no, I was mad.
Did they talk back to you at those times, or did they just cop it? Like the umpires? Would they...
Umpire's terrific. Dougie, shut up, get a kick. Peter Cameron and these guys. Dougie, shut up. You know that some umpires just look at me like this going, he's off his head. He's totally off his head. So I didn't pull well on the brown, like.
You got fined $1,000 one day for Fitzroy.
Yeah, I got fined
for umpire abuse.
Yeah.
What happened?
No, I gave him a shocking spray.
Yeah.
So he said, Monday night, I've reported you for 3 occasions on swearing. I swore about 40 times. 3 times. So I go to the tribunal. I took it a character reference. I took in Merv Hughes with me.
Did you actually?
I took Merv in.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. Because we were going to go to a function down in Hallam. We were going to get a taxi down
with Mouse.
There. There might have been Mouse. Mouse promotions. And so I took Merv in as my character reference. And Ian Finlay was my advocate, and we'd been to the Braybrook pub in a few beers
previous to
before going into the tribunal. And my wife said to me, Raylan, she said, "Listen, you've got something shifty going on there." I said, "Yeah, I'm taking Mervyn as a character reference." She said, "Oh no!" So don't do anything stupid. Yeah. Don't do nothing stupid. Anyway, we go in and me and Mervyn stand there, and the chairman was Neil Busy. Remember Neil Busy? He was a big fella.
No, I didn't.
Anyway, his name was Neil Busy.
Yeah.
So we stood there and I looked down the head table. I said, "Excuse me, are you busy?" He said, "That's right." And then Merv said, "In that case, we'll come back in 3 weeks, have a chat. You're a bit busy." So we sat down. So I got fined $1,000.
Yeah.
And
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it was. Particularly playing at Fitzroy. And then the next day we had talk back on radio. Fitzroy people rang in and said, "Dougie, you've been great. You've been grouse. We're going to pay for your fine." Footscray people rang in. I'm thinking, how good's this? So I had cash and cheques come to the radio station. Cash and cheques come to Fitzroy. I had cash come to Boy Jordan back and Smart. I made $9,500 profit. This money kept rolling in. Well, Dan, seriously. I said to Raylene, "What the bloody hell is this?" So we gave Busy the $1,000.
Busy.
I put 3.5 in the phone account for the horses, like a bit of a punt of horses.
Yes.
And the rest we paid tax. You got to pay your tax.
Thought you Merv might have had a little lick.
I might have sling Merv 50. You go get a slab.
Oh, that's very good. Your career finishes, mate. We've spoken about some of the things there. You pretty much move into media. You're doing media while you were playing, weren't you? And the footy show
footy
stuff?
show just took off, 94, when I was still at, when I broke Ted's record.
Yeah.
That was big stuff.
Yeah.
With EJ being in there. The Channel 9 Sunday footy show, Teddy was on that. And then 94 was the start of the footy show where Eddie was just the best host. He was the best host in Australia. He's a magnificent. Sam Newman, love or hate him, was a footy show.
Yeah.
And Trevor Vegemite sat behind the bar, cracked a few jokes, and we just talked shit. We just sat there and just talked crap.
His name's Trevor Marmalade.
Yeah, mate.
Trevor Marmalade.
I got it.
So it was just a show. It was a juggernaut. It was a juggernaut, and
you're a big part of it.
Yeah, well, I was a big part of it. Yeah, I mean, it was you'd go to places around Australia, and it wasn't about Dougie Hawkins playing 350 games. It was about Dougie Hawkins on the footy show. Sam Newman played 300 games. It was about the footy show. So it was real big stuff. It was because I mean, I'm not a TV performer. I'm just a knockabout footy player. I can play a bit of footy, and all of a sudden here you're on millions of people watching you, and I haven't got the greatest English. I mean, I can slaughter some words. The night I couldn't say mamua, I sat there with mamui. Sam was pissing himself laughing.
What were you trying to say?
I was trying to say manure, and I couldn't say it. I couldn't say it. And I looked at the camera, I went red hot, the red light went on, I'm thinking, here I go. All I want to do is say shit. I couldn't. And then Harvey Silver, the producer's going, say manure. But he knows I can't, and Sam knows I can't. So I went mamua, just slaughtered it. And then when I say ask, I always ask, just ask Dougie, you know, Dougie knows, just ask him. So that was for me, at the start of that, I felt a bit embarrassed. And then when Sam came over one part of that show, he said, Dougie, that was gold. That was magnificent. Mate, don't take yourself serious. Don't be scared to love yourself, mate. That's gold. That's what it's about, ratings and that stuff.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I didn't care then.
Yeah.
Once Sam said, Hawk, just go for it.
Be yourself.
Just be yourself, mate. And Lou Richards said to me, be yourself. The late Ernie Sigley and Lou, Ernie Sigley, Mad Bulldog bloke, Dougie, just be you. Because people would watch and see that you're not you. So you just be you, and if you make it being you, you've got nothing to go on. What are you going to go on there and try and put a show on? Just be yourself.
Dan you had a few...
Oh, yeah, I remember like I was looking at some of your highlights on YouTube, and something that came up sort of took me back to my childhood of watching on a Pizza Hut ad. And I never, as a kid, realised it was you. I wasn't really deep into footy at the time.
Dougie.
How did
Dougie
that
the pizza
come
guy.
about?
And then...
There's a young kid, Dougie, yeah. And we did this commercial in Sydney. Took us about 2 days to do it.
You had one line.
Played one line. Well, he said to me, Dougie, give us a tip. I said, you leave your handbrake on when you park your car, Dougie.
Yeah, that's the one.
His car was running down the road. So that was the one line I had to do. I did it about 50,005 takes. I had a big night down King's Cross.
Before it or after it?
Before it. Yes. So here I am with Dougie. Yeah, no, doing the pizza. The footy show was huge. And I went to Channel 7. I mean, it was a pretty dumb decision. End of 97 it was. I wanted to do a bit of commentary stuff. I thought my role as a court jester was getting a bit stale.
Yeah.
I left the door for Billy Brownless. He obviously filled that role beautifully. And I went over to 7, lasted 4 years, and Live and Kicking, we did a show. Me and Piggy Dunstall with Harvey Silver, the producer.
I remember that.
I remember Andrew Starton, who took off Sam, and
Yep.
and Bruce Macker, all them people. He was fantastic.
That's right, yeah.
And it was a shit show. It was a shit show. And when you get labelled to a shit show like what it was,
Yeah.
not a total shit show, but at the end of the day, we went away from what we are, footballers,
Yeah.
trying to be Bert Newton and Don Lane and that. Well, we're not that.
Yes.
Dunster was terrific. He made it up. He didn't have an auto cue. He was outstanding, Piggy.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And it was just we're in a big theatre, and you didn't know you forgot if you're on TV or you're working the crowd or
Yeah.
It was a tough gig. And then we did 4 years of that. The commentary stuff was a bit of fun. One day I'll never forget this. I was in Canberra and I went the night before, and I had a monster. I had a monster night, big drink. And then it's Fremantle, I think, playing Melbourne, and I couldn't give a shit. Couldn't care 1 inch. Not 1 inch.
So you're commentating the game?
I'm commentating, doing comments. I couldn't care 1 inch. Wouldn't even know half the players on both sides. Anyway, KB at half time's talking with me, and I said, now, Kev, this Damien Drum, he's in trouble. He's in big trouble. Fremantle's not playing for him. I reckon they might sack him. He said, a bit hard to sack him. They sacked him 12 months ago. Chris Conley's been new coach there. I said,
Just
Chris
live-
Connolly. I said,
live-
live on air. I said, who? He said, Chris Connolly's the coach. I said, well, he's going to be sacked then. He's on the outer. Can you believe I did that? That is-
Wow, I can, because I'm kind of doing similar things at the moment. I did a thing yesterday. I figured out I've called Sean Darcy Luke Darcy again.
Really?
I've done it twice now.
He wasn't even playing.
Well, it's because there's fucking
It's on your mind. It's on your mind.
No, Luke
Yeah,
Jackson plays through, and I'm trying to say Luke Jackson and Sean Darcy. I've got
right.
Luke
You got
Darcy,
Luke
and
Darcy.
Sean Jackson. Oh, jeez, mate, it's no good. But like you say, if you just be yourself and you can have a laugh, I reckon it's all right.
Yeah, so
You don't need to be inch perfect, do you?
The move to Channel 7 wasn't a good move.
Yeah.
The footy show didn't have it 20 years.
Yeah.
I thought it was on its knees. But when you got a pro like Maguire and Sam and Trev till the stage he left, it wasn't a good move.
Final one, mate. Post footy, he's still on the signs.
I'm still a construction worker.
What do you do?
I'm a road traffic controller. I'm a lollipop operator.
He's a stop slow sign. It's what Doug does.
CFMU union,
Yes.
pretty powerful mob in Victoria, pretty powerful around Australia. I'm a member of that union. I did the job for a week back in, here we go, no, I won't say that yet. I did it for a week, the money went in the bank. I rang the office and said, listen, Dale, you made a mistake, you gave me too much. She said, that's what you get paid. So I said, you tell the boss I'm doing another week. 12 years ago.
Wow.
So I never had a job that long in my life outside my footy. So I've been doing road traffic for 12 years. Construction sites, good blokes, knockabout blokes. Take your heart out off, throw in the boot, take your vest off, chuck it in the boot, and you drive home.
Yeah.
It suits me. I'm only casual. I can still go and do my speaking engagements and stuff like that. So it's a good gig.
Is that how you got struck by lightning?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, Dan.
That happened.
I was sitting in the box. I was sitting in my box at work and just thunder and lightning. And the next minute, I could see it come straight through the window, hit me on the chest across the left-hand side, went flying off the chair, and I blacked out. And I remember laying there, and I've never ever had an out-of-body experience.
Don't think so. Not yet.
I looked up, my body was going. I was floating, and I looked up, and I could see the pearly gates. And the great man was there waiting for me, Teddy Whitten. EJ was there. He said, "How you going, Knackers? What's going on?" I said, "Oh, EJ, as I was about to say, the great Polly Farmer put his head over the fence." Polly said to Teddy, "Send Dougie back, Ted. We can't shoot him, we can't root him, and we can't electrocute him. Send him back." So Polly gave me a wave and said, "Dougie, piss off." Teddy said, so I went back down to my body and I woke up and here I am telling the story today.
Gee,
But you got struck
Isn't
by
that amazing?
Far
that's
out.
crazy.
look at
Yeah, Polly, can't shoot him, can't electrocute him. Teddy, send him back. You got to laugh, don't you?
Oh, you
But
do.
seriously, on a serious note, it was scary stuff.
Bloody oath.
Hit the box rattled. I come out, my left arm was pretty, actually nearly shooting.
What if it feel like you got electrocuted? What if it feel like?
Well, the box just rattled and moved and bounced, and I went, "What the hell was that?" I think the pain in my arm. I think it was just the fear factor. I never felt like that. The noise was just frightening, and the box rattled. And then they said, "Listen, you got to go and get an ECG at the hospital and all that sort of stuff." And Jesus Christ, it was a scary thing. Yeah.
Brutal.
Dougie, we're going to wrap this up. We're almost finished, mate. That's us done and dusted, Dan and I. We've got one last segment, and being a media man like you are, and we're going to get you to lunch as well. Social media, not social, social. That's right. Yeah, I knew you'd like that, Dougie. Social media, this is where the questions come from the fans to you, not from Dan and I. We've got 6 of them for you. _J_Jaden.
What gave you the nickname Dancing Dougie?
Probably did my best work after midnight. Probably dancing those nightclubs down in Melbourne. I think just footy wise, I was pretty nimble on my feet. Not super quick, but I had pretty good balance, and I used to chuck myself around a little bit. I play with a little bit of arrogance, a bit of cockiness. You've got to have arrogance if you're going to play footy. have arrogance. If you haven't got it, don't play it.
Agree.
Just had that little shade of arrogance. Don't go over the top. I know where I could get it and go away or stop and pull up on it. So I had that ability just to dance, just that little move around and cockiness. And,
I like that. And you're good on the podium after 12 p.m.
Yeah, after midnight I was pretty good.
Alex Paul.
We'd love to hear about your relationship with Liam Duggan, coaching him as a junior.
Yeah, Liam Duggan, I had him back in 2011. We had a young boy who collapsed in a qualifying final, got an elbow in the chest, had a heart issue with it, and the young Nathan Prince, ended up passing away. And these boys went on and played a final series. And we had the funeral for young Nathan on the grand final week. How these boys went on and did what they did was just amazing. And Liam was only his first year on the 16s. I played him on a wing. I told his dad after the first couple of weeks, I said, this kid's going to play lead footy. Shummer, yeah. Yeah, James. He said, what do you mean? I said, mate, he's going to play lead footy. I said, mate, kick both feet if he has to. He can kick right foot if he wants to. I said, he doesn't need to because he's just so smart on his left-hand side. I said, good overhead, good at ground level, good tank, great balance, not scared. Mate, he's going to make it. He's going to make it. I saw it straight away. I want him to go to the Bulldogs and come to the bloody Eagles. So, young Duggan there and these boys went on and won a grand final. It was amazing. It really was. We played North Ballarat unbeaten all year, best side by 10, 15 goals. And what these kids had to go and do, losing a brother, which shouldn't happen at that age.
No.
It was like a second son to me. He was vice captain. He was at the Western Jets, had the potential to play AFL footy, and sadly it was taken away. And these boys went and won a grand final.
Huge.
It's bloody good.
Amazing story. And the club never won a grand final in the history of the club, that age group, and they just created their own history. It was fantastic.
That's bloody good. Duggo lives two streets down from here.
Duggo, is he?
Yeah, we go past his house. We give him a beep on the way home.
Yeah, beautiful.
Tom MCGA.
Your favourite dish at the Braybrook Hotel?
Braybrook Hotel, I got kicked out when I was 16 for underage drinking. 3 nights in a row. Took the money, kicked me out. 25 years later, they invited me back and put a statue at the front of me. So no one can beat that.
You got a statue out the front?
I got the statue at the front of the Braybrook, me and Teddy.
How good's that?
Yeah, so
and you're local.
When I do the sporties, I put your hand up, you got kicked out of your logo, all the hands go up. Yeah. Then I say, leave your hand up. You went back 25 years later, there's a statue at the front. So they got a statue of me, EJ, at the front, which is fantastic.
That's unreal.
Again, I mean, I sold papers there as a kid. I sold papers in that Braybrook Hotel. I grew up in there. Yeah. And they put a statue at the front. It's pretty good.
That's unreal.
Pretty good.
We went through this. Avich 13. So he's just asking if you can say manure. Tell him to piss off.
Mamua.
Tell him to piss off.
I'll never forget that night. Mamua. And here's Sam laughing his head off. Gee, that was funny.
Dubster?
Best post-game celebration?
There's a fair few Saturdays and got home Monday.
Yeah.
Mum would say to me, where you been? I said, I can't remember after Saturday, Mum.
Mum, you're still living
at home. She said, Dougie, get in.
You're still living at home at that stage?
I was at home. I was only young. I was only a young bloke. I was ratty. We had some good celebrations.
Last one, Doug.
How do you like your eggs from the Eggman?
How do I like
the eggs? How do you like your eggs?
I like my eggs. Who's the Eggman?
He's the Eggman, mate. He wants to know eggs.
No, I'm a bit of a poached eggs man. I don't mind fried if I have to have fried. Yeah. I'm a poachy and
fancy.
Not big on bacon.
Not big on bacon?
Nah, just 2 pieces of bread and just tuck 2 poached eggs on it. Snap, break them up, leave it a bit runny.
Yeah.
Chuck a little bit of salt and pepper. That'll do me.
Yeah, that's very good. And that'll do us.
Very basic.
Doug, it's been unreal having you in here, mate. Really good chatting you on BackChat. Did you have fun?
What's that, Will?
Did you have fun?
Do I have fun?
Yeah. Did you have fun?
Yeah, and you know what? I had more fun going to the midnight dentist in Ballarat getting my teeth ripped out last Wednesday. I had more fun doing that than listening to you two blokes talking shit.
Thanks for joining us on BackChat.
I'm going back to the Ballarat all-night dentist and getting my teeth ripped out. It's more fun. But anyway.
No, I'll tell you what you are doing. You're going back with Mousy, mate. That's what you will be doing.
No, I don't want to go back. I'm staying with you blokes. Love your mouse.
Big thanks to our sponsors, Swimply, Whippersnapper Whisky, Margaret River Roasting Co, BlueBet, Shelter Brewing Co, Leadable Cameras, and of course our very good friends at Fleet Network. They power the podcast this year. Check it all out on backchatpodcast.com.au. Listen to us as a podcast. Watch us on YouTube. That's Doug Hawkins, everybody.
On your will,
Thanks,
Dan.
Danny.
Good on you, boys. Fantastic.